It started innocently enough. One neighbor installed a security camera on their garage, claiming it was for safety. At first, no one minded until residents realized the camera wasn't just watching the driveway. It pointed directly at the house across the street. The family living opposite felt exposed, their every move monitored. Tension grew as complaints began to spread, and what was meant as a protective measure turned into a neighborhood controversy. The HOA soon became involved, believing it could mediate. But instead of resolution, their presence would only fuel a conflict that spiraled far beyond control. The targeted family filed a complaint with the HOA, demanding the camera be removed or redirected. But the homeowner insisted it was legal, installed for security, not spying. The board attempted to mediate, yet their neutrality faltered when they sided with the camera owner. This decision sent shockwaves through the neighborhood, convincing many that the HOA was playing favorites. Soon, the other family responded in kind, installing their own cameras, pointing directly back at their neighbor's property. What began as one device turned into a standoff of lenses, each side determined to watch the other more closely. Soon, multiple cameras appeared on both houses, mounted at every angle. Neighbors began whispering about the spectacle. Cars slowing down to watch as each family expanded their surveillance. The HOA, instead of calming the situation, issued vague guidelines that only confused matters further. Meetings grew heated, with both families accusing the other of harassment. Their residents, once silent, now worried about their own privacy, fearing they too might be caught on camera. The atmosphere grew toxic. Each day, filled with suspicion and hostility, the neighborhood, once peaceful, now felt like a stage under constant watchful eyes. The conflict spilled beyond cameras. Motion-activated lights were installed, blinding each other's windows at night. Noise complaints piled up, with both families reporting the other for the smallest disturbances. The HOA, struggling to maintain control, sent violation letters indiscriminately, angering everyone. The dispute spread like wildfire, dividing the community into sides. Some supported the right to protect property, while others argued constant surveillance destroyed trust. The battle was no longer about safety, it was about pride and control. With every move, the feud escalated, and residents braced for the inevitable breaking point that was quickly approaching. The situation boiled over when one neighbor claimed the cameras had recorded their children playing in the yard, sparking outrage. Accusations of privacy invasion spread, and law enforcement was called to intervene. The HOA scrambled, hosting an emergency meeting to address the crisis. But instead of providing answers, the board appeared defensive, unwilling to admit its favoritism had worsened the feud. Residents shouted over one another, demanding accountability, while the two families stood unyielding. The meeting ended in chaos, with threats of lawsuits looming. The battle had reached a new level, and now outside authorities were watching. Word of the dispute leaked beyond the neighborhood. Social media posts spread rapidly, framing the conflict as an outrageous HOA scandal. News outlets picked up the story, portraying the community as a war zone of cameras and conflict. Strangers weighed in online, some defending security rights, others condemning invasive surveillance. The HOA, now under public scrutiny, could no longer hide behind closed doors. Residents felt humiliated as their private feud became a public spectacle. With the reputation of the entire neighborhood at stake, pressure mounted for resolution, but the board's indecision only deepened the divide. As legal pressure grew, board members began resigning, unwilling to be tied to the scandal. Lawsuits loomed on both sides, and homeowners demanded leadership change. The president, once confident, now faced petitions for removal and mounting anger from every corner. The dispute over cameras had exposed not just neighborly hostility, but also the HOA's inability to lead fairly. Unity had dissolved, replaced by suspicion and resentment. What was once a small disagreement had toppled the board's authority, leaving chaos in its wake. The neighborhood stood on the brink, desperate for closure as the final decision approached. In the end, outside authorities stepped in. Court orders required the cameras to be redirected, ensuring privacy was respected. The HOA was restructured with new leadership promising transparency and fairness. Both families drained from months of hostility. Reluctantly complied, their rivalry leaving lasting scars on the community. Residents slowly regained a sense of peace, though trust was harder to rebuild. The dispute became a cautionary tale, proving how quickly pride, favoritism, and power could turn neighbors into enemies. The cameras remained, but the war they sparked would forever linger as a reminder of the dangers of unchecked conflict.